My first sexual encounter happened when I was 7 years old, and nothing about it made me feel loved. It would be the first time I would ever truly feel weak, helpless, and alone. Until then, I believed love made you feel good, cared for, protected, and happy. Love looked like my mom taking care of me after I crashed my bike. It was a hug from a friend or sharing your favorite food. At 7 years old, love was not supposed to make me feel scared or bad about myself. That same feeling would be reinforced at the age of 15 when I would be sexually abused for the second time. I learned at a young age, people you trust can do horrible things to you. And when that lesson was learned, it made it very difficult for me to trust anyone, especially other males. I became afraid to express love because I thought if I did, someone would find a way to hurt me. I believed I would be safe if I didn't let anyone in emotionally. That would become my belief system for any relationship I would have for more than 20 years. I knew I had love to give, and I felt if I controlled who had access to it, I would be safe, happy, and loved in return. So many of us are afraid to be hurt by anyone, and that includes people we love and believe to love us. We live in a world that feeds on fear, and we mask that fear by saying we're protecting ourselves or being cautious and aware. We have conditioned ourselves to think having control is a necessity. What we don't realize is that by living from a place of fear and control, we are limiting the love we give and receive. On November 9th, 2016, much of the country was covered by a blanket of fear and anger. In the days that followed, that fear and anger spread like a wildfire through homes, offices, and across social media. I even felt myself sinking into an emotional quicksand, and I decided very quickly I had to find a way to exist in this new reality without being overwhelmed by what was happening around me. What I saw were people afraid of what the future might bring. And being afraid of what may happen, we aren't able to live in the love of what is happening. I repeat, being afraid of what may happen, we aren't able to live in the love of what is happening. 2 days later, on November 11th, I decided to become a soldier of love. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a soldier as one engaged in military service, and especially the Army. It is also defined as a crafted and skilled warrior. Love is defined as warm enthusiasm, devotion. I define a soldier of love as someone who acknowledges how fear controls you and still chooses to live from a place of love instead of fear. Again, a soldier of love is someone who acknowledges how fear controls you and still chooses to live from a place of love instead of fear. Now, I have never fought in the battle of war, but I have fought in the battle of sexual abuse. And as I mentioned before, it left me feeling weak, helpless, and alone. You don't have to be a soldier in the military or even a survivor of sexual abuse to know how it feels to be weak, helpless, and alone. Those feelings are universal, and we will all share them at some point in our lives. Now let's go back to November 2016. With each conversation I heard and every social media post that I read, I saw people reacting from a place of fear and anger, and I knew one thing to be true for myself. I have no idea how to keep anyone from feeling pain. What I do know is how to give love. For years, I withheld love out of the fear of being vulnerable and taken advantage of. And after intense emotional therapy, I was able to see that love has no limits. The only limits that exist for love are those that we impose on it. And when I was able to embrace my own vulnerability, I was able to release those limits. In therapy, I was also able to extend compassion towards myself. I didn't know how to wholly love me. which made it even more difficult for me to believe that someone else could. It was also so hard for me to express love to someone else. I had to become a soldier of love for myself, to save myself. There's a quote from the famous drag queen RuPaul which states, wait for it, "If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else?" It's so true. It all starts with us loving ourselves. And when we are able to fully do that, we are able to live in the love of what is happening, not the fear of what may happen. I'm not saying that we will be without fear, but our association to fear is what will change. Being your own soldier of love means being a skilled warrior at loving yourself, your imperfections, your weaknesses, and all. There is no shortcut through fear and darkness. We have to face it with love, acknowledge it, move through it in order to get to the light that is on the other side. And when we're able to do that, we can live in the love of what is happening instead of the fear of what may happen. I give you love, not because I know you or because I expect it from you, but because I have it to give. I want you to have it. And because I am a soldier of love. Thank you.